Welcome back. While I'm getting better, I have more time to go in the vaults and look at some pretty interesting things. So I thought I'll make a video on single-shot rifles, but break-open single-shot rifles. I'll start with a falling block. I have this around. It's just a project. That's a Ruger number 3 action. You probably recognize it. Beautiful action. If you watch the videos on the Hagen or Hagen action, you can probably go back and compare them. I mean, the Ruger has a whole bunch of things going on that make it more complex, but it's very popular. Can't argue with success. Remarkable action. Anyway, that's a falling block action in case this is the first video that you see on this channel. It's color case hardened. They don't look like this from the factory. Beautifully designed action. Of course, they're loaded here, and then the block is raised, so the cartridge can't go back. I'll just set that aside. And then another way of accomplishing single-shot locking is the single-shot break open. In Europe, they call these Kipplauf. Now, this is a H&R shotgun, actually, just because I don't have what they call the Handi Rifle. They were discontinued, but people tell me that they're coming back. So anyway, this is unbelievably simple and excellent. So it has a standing breech, so we don't need to raise a block because all we need to do is build a shotgun, in this case, or a rifle, where when we close it, it's perfectly against the standing breech. That's not that complicated to accomplish. You have a hinge pin, some kind of firing system. You'll have either a hammer or a striker. Hammers are always appealing, but hammerless designs, for some reason, are viewed as more sophisticated. Anyway, I think this company stopped making these shotguns and rifles, but the Handi Rifle is extremely popular in all kinds of calibers and in high demand, mainly because they're not being made anymore, but they might be coming back. Anyway, to open this action, you just depress this button. Very simple, and there it is. It's easy to understand. And what I thought I'll do is I actually took out the fore-end retaining screw, which is this one. So you just need that screwdriver, and then you can take off the fore-end. So that's easy to understand. Has some respectable checkering there. Actually, it's quite a nice stock on this trap shotgun, which is hard to find. And then once you're there, you can depress this button and the barrel comes off. Very simple. And I don't know whether we can film this, but inside the action, you'll see a part move right there. And that is what locks the barrel down, the barrel assembly down. So this little ledge engages this surface right here. And once it's engaged, this can't tip up again. Sometimes these are tricky getting back in, but not this time. So that is just about impossible to break and to remove again just like that. So that's the Harrington and Richardson Handi Rifle system. And all of you collectors of Handi rifles, I understand why you collect. They're excellent. I had one in 30-30 that was just particularly accurate. There's something about that standing breech design, you know, unlike the falling block where you have to get a whole bunch of things right. The break open actions are simple. So what next? This rifle. What an excellent rifle. Mossberg SS1. A lot of people don't even know that Mossberg made these rifles. So this, you noticed right away, hammerless design. Well, whether it's truly hammerless, I don't know. I think there might be a hidden hammer in here. The alternative would be a striker. Oh, I can talk about that just quickly. So I had a lot of letters, you know, what's the difference between a hammer and a striker? Well, the hammer either looks like this, or it can be hidden inside the action. But the hammer is given momentum by a spring, and once it has that momentum, you can see on the standing breech, you should see the firing pin there. There's a transfer bar, so you won't see the firing pin come out. But it's the momentum of the hammer. So there's energy stored in the hammer, and then the hammer hits the firing pin, and the firing pin hits the primer. Pretty easy to understand. In the case of a striker, the striker actually is really just a coiled spring, or it could be a flat spring theoretically. And when the trigger is pulled, the coiled spring uncoils and pushes sometimes a small part, sometimes directly on the firing pin. So the strikers tend to be very quick. The Luger has a striker. A lot of firearms have strikers. The Glock is striker fired. And there are definite benefits. On the other hand, eventually, I guess the spring does get tired, may need replacing, that kind of thing. There are pluses and minuses to everything. Getting back to the SS1, this is not a light rifle. It's a heavy rifle. It's .243, and that, by the way, that H&R was a 12 gauge. People always ask me. And to take down, so same thing, a retaining screw going into the barrel, so that with a little Allen key. And then this comes apart. One thing about the SS1 that I always liked is however they machined it, the parts fit together just beautifully. It's striking, and I think we made a video on this rifle years ago. You can see that this is welded here. That part is welded on, and that would be the hinge pin. That would be your locking surface. This is just a scope rail. And they had to get everything. Here's the extractor right there. So you can see that's how they get the cartridge out. And if you buy one of these, or if you find one, they're hard to find. You'll notice how well made they are. Excuse me. All the parts fit together perfectly. There's no juggling around. And locking and unlocking, particularly easy with this underlever design. Just, again, I'm always mystified. Why would such a fine rifle stop being made? But so it goes. And nice tang safety, exactly where it should be. Very convenient. Got a little bit of trigger movement, which I never noticed. You can see it here from the safety. But I mean, altogether, just terrific. Oh, and people ask, how does it shoot? This one, I think I told you before. It's, well, far more accurate than most shooters. And I think it was like under an inch with, I think, Winchester loads or something like that. I would have to go out again, and I probably will. So SS1, this was never an expensive rifle. Maybe it's expensive now, but excellent. And then I would probably say the top of the line, American-made single-shot rifle is a Thompson Center. You know, it's funny, I have no idea why this rifle isn't better known. It's the Aristocrat, they called it. It's also, I introduced 1983, so there's an 83 and an 87. There are some differences between the 83 and 87, but I don't know those differences. They look the same to me. I've owned both, but I don't always study things as much as I should. This has all the elegant features. You can see It's beautifully machined and shaped. I was very lucky getting this one. I don't know if we can focus, but they did have a custom shop. Thompson Center, of course, is famous for the Contender, the Encore. I was going to include the Encore. I have one in 6.8 SPC, but maybe next time. Anyway, I put some yellow in there so you could see this is a custom shop product. And I quickly went on the TC website just to see what's what, and it looks like they must have had some kind of trouble at the corporate level. And there's a video you can watch. And there's a fellow talking how Thompson Center is coming back and it's going to be great again and so on. And it probably will be. Nice scope mounting system. Reminded me of the X-Bolt. And like I said, beautifully shaped receiver. So 7x57. And this one, I don't think this has been fired much. I haven't fired this. I'll take it out. I was planning on making a video and then had that medical emergency. But I'll show you how it takes apart. It's quite elegant by any measure. And actually, there are a lot of these break-open single shots in Europe. As I said, they call them Kiplaufs. Blaser makes, I guess, the K95. But Merkel, all the big names make them. And then there are custom Kiplaufs from Verlach in Austria and other places that are wonderful. But this Aristocrat is something. So you just pull down on that lever. It's a little different from the European designs, so it's not a screw. And then that means you can pull down on this lever. And if you own one of these, a lot of people then to reassemble push this back up and they get this happening, which is fine because then you just have to go here. But I always found it's easier if you just push that back in place and then it locks. But it's a spring retained forend, beautifully made. And then the forend comes off. And again, unlike the Mossberg, the SS1, it has really tight tolerances. So the parts don't necessarily fit together effortlessly. Then we move the top lever over. And that's fighting. And have a look at this. Just a massive locking area here on this. This is an 83. I noticed that right away. And let's take a look quickly at the SS1. Just want to compare the locking area. So you can see on the Mossberg, it's not that different, but you can see that's the bearing surface for locking there. And then on the 83, it's quite a lot bigger. And I did look inside the action, and that shiny surface there, that's what locks this. And it won't move when we move here because it's actually activated by the barrel being in place. And have a look at this, it's very classy. That's a bush firing pin. So with the right spanner wrench, you'd need one with 4 holes. You can undo that, and you can usually see some erosion from the primer. So this gun has been hardly fired, if at all. It's terrific and not so easy to find single shot rifles. So yeah, and it's it goes together. It goes like a European gun. And we drop the lever, push this one up, and it's all together and ready to go. And this is one Sweet Handi rifle. And then true to European form, they put double set triggers. Actually, wonderful triggers. I'm not firing, I'm just activating the trigger mechanism. Oh, I did notice another thing. So when you, that's cocked now, because you can see obviously no hammer. And I did look at the drawing, and it seemed to me, I guess it's sort of striker fired. I would have to study that again. Anyhow, when you put it on safe, safe is here. So that's you know a crossbolt safety, everybody. And then to take the safety off, so you would think you would just push here, but you can't. It's sort of double safe. You have to push this plunger down, and then you can take it off safe. So I guess it's okay. I guess any extra safety feature is good. Maybe you might, fall or something. And so this can't be moved over till that plunger is down. Anyhow, there are a couple or three interesting designs. And people ask me, which one do you like the best? Well, this is an unbelievable rifle, especially in 7x57, which is an incredibly useful cartridge. It has a decent walnut stock, and, it's got some, I don't know what you'd call it, like pedigree. Just a wonderfully made rifle. And maybe they'll make them again. I don't know. They said that they're coming back big time with all kinds of new rifles. I hope so. And that probably is enough talking for today. So three ways of looking at things, and then maybe four if you include this Ruger. Of course, falling blocks just have a different sort of class to them, don't they? Anyway, I hope you find that interesting. As always, I hope your health is good, and glad you're here, and we'll see you next time. Take care until then.